All right, so welcome. Thank you for the opportunity to be here and for joining us in this session as we share with you industrial DevOps from value streams to agile teams. In this presentation, we're going to revisit the principles of industrial DevOps and then describe the importance of systems thinking and value stream structures as an organization works to deliver value to its customers.
Maybe. Okay. So my name's Robin Yeman, and I work for Lockheed Martin, and had the opportunity to deal with a number of safety critical systems that really kind of brought me and Suzette together, because similar in nature, we're having to build not just Agile and DevOps for small team of teams, 7 plus or minus 2. Most of our work has very large teams and complex system of systems.
That's right, and I'm Suzette Johnson. I work for Northrop Grumman as a technical fellow. And we've been on our Lean Agile journey for several years now. And as Robin was indicating, we've happened to notice there are a lot of similarities in the systems that we build and with the challenges that we're facing as an organization. So we want to continue to share these experiences with you in hopes that you can learn from our experiences as you go through your DevOps journey.
All right, so you take a look at these two systems. We've got the F-35 and the B-2 bomber. Both of these are large safety critical systems with many teams on them. And we run into all the complexities that you would run into on a car. So our approach is going to be to describe a lot of the things that we see in day-to-day life, but in the context of all-set an electronic vehicle.
Yep, and as we go through this journey with all-set, again, we're sharing our common experiences and how we put these into practice, and then using them in the scenario that I think people will be able to relate to. And as we talk about a couple different contexts, not just the system context, but also the organizational context as we expand our thinking and our experiences with implementation at scale.
Okay. All right, so first we're going to start with the system context. And we know this in itself is complex, right? We have large system of systems, and they each got unique behaviors that we're bringing together. So as we look at it, we find that there's multiple ways of looking at quantitative information flows. The system has, multiple ways that it's moving through. There's heterogeneous elements, so we're really talking about a varied set, right? I've got firmware, I have hardware, I have software, I've got a variety of things that are talking to each other that are actually different in how they exist, right? So it's an entirely new world to kind of work across these areas. Once I put these systems together, you notice that there's emergent behavior, right? And we have to look at all areas of the system when we're trying to find where these emergent behaviors could happen. Or, for example, I could experience, one behavior in a certain scenario and context, and then, move that capability out into the field and experience one that I hadn't before. We have to look at interfaces, right? In the software world, we're looking at APIs and how they talk to each other. And we've got software to firmware interfaces and firmware to hardware. Now, once I start looking at that, you'll notice that there's a different language, right? We're going to talk about, hardware engineers building things like breadboards. That's a whole lot different than, let's say, a software engineer building out Hello World. So we have to learn how these different elements communicate to each other.
So you can see there are some similarities between the systems context on the left and the cultural context on the right. And this is largely because the solutions we build and the organization of the people, in fact, they're both systems. So in the cultural context, we've also identified 6 related or similar areas as we've identified on the systems context. We talk about the organizational structure. And the organizational structure is how the organization is aligning its people and its teams to provide value. The structure is important to ensure that we're organizing around the delivery pipeline and to ensure decision-making is at the right levels, along with improving the flow of communication and collaboration between the teams. So for example, are teams aligned around features? Are they aligned around components? As they build the system, how often do their changes have a rippling effect across other teams? And this rippling effect or this rippling impact is sometimes caused by the system structure or architecture, but it also could be how the organization has defined their team structure. So this is an important element that requires attention to ensure the teams are able to build new capabilities and new functionality with minimal impact across the other teams. And then we have qualitative information flows within this organizational system. So we understand that communications may in fact look different than the org structure and the way in which the teams are organized and how they need to enable value creation with fast feedback between the teams. There's also the correlation between the organizational structure and the qualitative information flows. Then there is something that we're calling heterogeneous subculture. That is the impact of the different cultures of the teams, not only in their organizations, but maybe with the suppliers who we're working with, who also are interfacing with us and they're part of our value stream. So we bring these different groups together to build solutions, and we need to acknowledge that they likely have different ways